So today, of course, we're looking at purity of karma. And I'm really delighted that we have Sudha Didi, Sister Sudha, with us today. I know Sudha Ben to be a very deep thinker. She chooses her words very carefully, but they're always words that take you to the depth of understanding. So we're in very safe hands today with Sister Sudha. It's lovely to see you, Sudha Ben. Great to see you.
Thank you, Philippa Ben. Thank you so much.
I was actually in Moscow representing the Brahma Kumaris at an event in, I think it was 1983 or 1984. So I can imagine where you are, and I know the beauty of the Russian people and the Russian spirit. Now, Ranjan mentioned the situation that's going on at the moment, and I don't think we need to go into the rights and wrongs of all of that. But it is interesting to note how actions are definitely having consequences, and we're seeing that being played out on the international stage. But we're going to park all that to one side, really, because what we're focusing on here is purity of karma when it comes to ourselves and understanding our own lives. And I was looking around at how people have described or understood this concept of karma. People have said things like, what goes around comes around. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's in the Bible. You get back the same energy that you put out. People have that as a saying. And then again, the Bible says, as you sow, so shall you reap. In other words, you plant a seed, that seed bears fruit, and then you have to eat the fruit that came from that seed that you planted. So this isn't a concept that is limited to Indian philosophy. It's there in many of the great religions. But I wonder for you, Sudha Ben, what you feel about karma in your day-to-day life. Is it something that once you've understood it, you can then just put it to one side? Or is karma and your karma something that is in your conscious mind, really, as part of your everyday life?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ranjan Ben, Rajni Ben, and also Philippa Ben. Thank you for inviting me for this session. When I think of karma, the first thing, I think that which is to be understood by every one of us is that who does the karma? The one who is doing the karma is eternal. It is the soul who is doing the karma. And everything is karma. I am seeing, it is karma. I am moving my hand, it is karma. I am listening, it is karma. Everything is karma. Even the thoughts are karmas. Our feelings, our attitude, which we have while we are interacting with others, it is also karma at the subtle level. So we can say that I cannot put karma just aside, because I am the one who is doing everything. I am doing karma, and so I am doing the karma, and therefore definitely the karma will bring whatever result to me, definitely. So therefore it is impossible to put aside the karma, whether I believe in the law of karma or don't believe, but the law of karma definitely works.
It's an interesting point. You don't have to believe in it for it to operate. Yeah. It's like a universal law of cause and effect that happens anyway. So, I mean, I think everyone has an understanding of karma. It's basically what you put out comes back to you, and that can be over a number of lifetimes, or it can be something that you have done within this lifetime that comes back to you. So how would you distinguish between this understanding of karma and what you understand by purity of karma? What does pure karma mean?
You see that every human soul has original, very positive qualities, every soul. But with time, during the, this passage of time, during the cycle of births and rebirths, what has happened is the soul has forgotten, or soul has lost its access to its original beauty, the original qualities, and acquired something negative. And as a result of that, there is a mixture of plus and minus, positive and negative qualities in every soul. Yes, there can be a difference of percentage, but there is a mixture of positive and negative quality in every soul today. And so when we say purity of karma, means that I am consciously choosing to perform the karma which is under the, under the, what you call, the karma which is done while using my positive potential, my positive energy, my original qualities. When I'm consciously doing that, that karma becomes positive, definitely. And in that, naturally I need to choose the karma. There are certain karmas, certain actions which are for certain not good. For example, I hurt someone, I give pain to someone, verbally or by my actions, I cheat someone. So it is understood it is a negative karma. But before I perform the karma, I need to think about it, about the laws of karma, about the principles of karma. If I think it, and even if a thought comes in my mind to hurt someone, even if I'm just going to speak out something, I stop for a second, a fraction of a second, and think about it. Should I do it or not? So when I think of purity of karma, means that karma which will give happiness to the people to whom these karmas are connected, and to me, the one who is doing this karma, that will be called the purity of karma.
You mentioned their intention, and I wonder what part intention plays. For instance, you do a good thing, it's a good pure karma, but your intention is to bring benefit to the self, glorification to the self, acquiring something for yourself. How does that alter the pure karma that you have done? But also, in another sense, if you do an action that you're not intending as a negative action, but the consequence of it is negative, but you had no thought of that, it wasn't your intention, how does that affect the return of that same action?
Okay, Tulipa, when the first thing, when the intention is not good, some selfish motive, it very often happens, in this iron-aged world. Many people do many sort of, you can say, good karma or pure karma, like, for example, giving a lot of donations, and to some orphanage or to old age home or to some other poor people, opening some hospitals or something like that. So there can be a lot of charity and that acts of donation which are for sure pure karma. But when the intention, as you mentioned, is of glorification or is of getting some selfish motive fulfilled here, so the quality of the purity of karma definitely reduces. So that is karma which was done, but here is my intention. Intention is also karma at the subtle level. And so that my negative intention is reducing the result of the positive karma done in action, in reality. And so what can happen is, because, for example, I have donated a lot of wealth for building a hospital for the poor people, where they can get some treatment, some medicines free of charge. So this is a good action, but at the same time, because I wanted glorification, so it is quite possible that I will get glorification in this birth. In my next birth, as a result of donating health to people, I will become healthy. I will become healthy, but at the same time, maybe for some period of time, I am quite healthy, and suddenly something happens when though I am healthy, but I am not happy. I am not happy because the intention there was not very positive, not very pure. And so it reduced the effect. Though I got the health, but I am still not happy. I'm still not content. I'm still not content. I'm still worried about maybe my health. I should not somehow lose my health. There is a worry. I am concerned all the time about it. So there can be different things because of the result of this negative intention. And another thing is, when you don't have any negative intention, but the result of the karma is not very positive, sometimes it also happens. So here, as we understand in our organization, it is taught that when you, for example, you are giving some money in charity, in donation to a beggar, to a poor person, so that he can take food or he can have some clothes to put on his body and so on. But we do not know that what for this money will be used by this person. My intention was that he should get food to eat so that he's not hungry. But because the habits of this person, I am not sure what the habits of this person are. He may go and take a bottle of wine or something like that, or do some other wrong action, or it is quite possible that this beggar is a hired person, as in today's world, and this money goes to some mafia, and this money is used for some wrong purpose. So what we learn here in Brahmakumaris is that if you see a hungry person, better to feed him instead of giving the money. And if you see a person who is shivering in winter and he needs some clothes, give some clothes to him instead of giving money. And so that will be the better, probably the decision, better choice, instead of giving money, because the money can be used in many different ways, in many wrong ways. And because I became the instrument to give the money so that that wrong action was done, some kind of, result, this negative result will come on me too. And therefore, there is a very good saying in India. They say that before you put the milk in a pot, you need to see whether the pot is clean.
Very interesting. I mean, what you're describing here illustrates just how subtle the law of karma is, that, you give money with a pure intention, but what that money is spent on will somehow come back to you. It's almost like a little cloud settles over that action.
Yeah.
And it ripples back through time because you were the originator of that action in giving money. We talked there about intention, and you said that intention is everything, which then leads on to the obvious next question, which is the way in which karma relates to our thoughts. Because the word karma implies action. And yet what we're saying here is, even without performing any action, just by simply thinking, the quality of our thinking is included in this understanding of karma. So even thinking a positive or negative thought will have a positive or negative impact. Can you say a little about how that actually works?
We all know that thought is the seed of action. Thought is the seed of action. And sometimes the action is not done, but there is just a thought, good or bad. And we all know that the thoughts create vibrations like waves. And as the quality of thoughts, so will be the vibrations created, so will be the aura around me. So first of all, my thoughts will affect me. This is why it is said, as you think, so you feel. Your feelings, you feel good or bad, depends a lot upon your thoughts. How do you think? So because these thoughts are creating the vibrations, they are affecting my whole being. And then they are creating an aura around me, and then it is spreading in the atmosphere. The thoughts are creating the atmosphere. And whosoever comes in that atmosphere is affected by that atmosphere. For example, there is a person who is not speaking loud, who is not crying, who is not saying anything wrong to anybody, who is not directly hurting anybody, but just sitting in a corner of a room, sitting sad, sorrowful. And so this person is creating these vibrations, negative vibrations of sadness and sorrow. And so these vibrations make the atmosphere very heavy. If somebody asks this person something happened to you, that the person says nothing, but there is some thought, maybe of the past, something which happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago. These thoughts are, has clouded the mind and intellect in such a way that the person is not able to forget that past or forgive that person who did something wrong with that him 20 years ago. And because of that, the person is, has moved back 20 years. He's not in the present, he's living in the past and creating these thoughts. And as a result, the atmosphere is heavy. And this atmosphere is affecting the people. They also begin to feel heavy. They also begin to feel sad, though seemingly, apparently, no action was done. The person was just sitting. In the same way, when you are in a very light mood, happy mood, you are not giving anything to anybody. You didn't give any chocolate, anything very expensive to someone, but you are just happy. Your face is happy. You are charging the atmosphere with your happiness, with your lightness, with your enthusiastic state of mind. And so people feel happy. The atmosphere becomes charged with that positive energy, and the people feel very happy to do something. So it matters a lot in what state of mind I am because of my thoughts.
I've got a load of questions coming into my mind. I'll try and organize them a little bit. In a way, what you're talking about here is perhaps karma yoga, which is bringing in this idea of yoga meditation and the impact that has on the immediate atmosphere, but also those thoughts can travel to the other side of the world. They're not limited, because at the Brahma Kumaris there is this understanding that we can lift the world, uplift the world through the purity of our conscious thinking.
Right.
And not only the world, but we can purify our own karma. In other words, we can settle our own karma through the power of the mind, through the power of our yoga meditation, which is quite an extraordinary thought. How does that work?
You see that when we talk of actions or thoughts, because we are not living in isolation, even if actually to see in depth, even if I am living isolated, not in a city, I am living somewhere in a forest, in a cave, but I am still living in the world. I can't be isolated. I am interacting with the atmosphere, I am interacting with the weather, with the birds, with the animals around me, with the nature, and so on. So we are all in one atmosphere. And so actions, or at the gross level or at the subtle level, at the level of intention or attitude or thoughts, whatever it is, we are all interconnected. So when you talk of yoga or meditation, this is interaction with the purest being, the purifier, the ever pure being. When the soul gets connected to the ever pure being, the purifier, whom we call God, the Supreme Soul. And not only the soul gets connected for some time, but the soul lives a life of that connection and that relationship. So when my connection and my relation is with that ever pure being, I gradually get charged with that power of purity which that ever pure being has. It's the ocean of purity, infinite purity, infinite, unlimited power of purity. And when I am connected with that source, that this flow of energy from a higher level to a lower level, this pure energy flows from that highest level to me. Gradually, my thoughts, my feelings begin to become pure. The thoughts begin to come that what I should be when I am connected with that ever pure being. Like even in the physical world, when I go to meet, for example, a very saintly person, a great soul, very elevated soul. So I will prepare myself before I go to that saintly person. So I am going to meet that person. So how should I dress up? What should I speak? How should I behave? I begin to think in advance. And here, when I get connected to that ever pure being, my quality of thoughts begins to change. Then my focus is on myself. I don't see at that time what others are doing, how others are behaving, what they are speaking, what is their mentality, what are their intentions and attitude. My focus is on the self. And I begin to internally transform. And when I begin to internally transform, this is reflected in my behavior.
Mm-hmm.
This is reflected on my face, in my vision, in my interaction with others. And what my experience says, that then you become that source of inspiration for others. Then you don't teach them in words, but your life becomes an open book at that time. And the more you see that transformation which is coming in others, the happier you are. The happier you are because you could do something for your brother's souls, for the humanity, for helping something. This is an action itself. Though you didn't do anything, but you just transformed yourself. Your attention is on the self.
Mm-hmm. I really see this point that you're making, that when we connect through our thoughts with the highest source of purity, then that is going to come into us as a vibration. And I liked what you said about we're part of the atmosphere, part of nature, the birds. And the image I got almost was like, we're all of us breathing. We're breathing in air, and the air is getting mixed with the vibration of our physical body whilst the air is in our body. And then we breathe that air back out into the atmosphere. In other words, we have transformed that air that we breathed in by giving it a new energy, a new consciousness, and then other people will breathe that air and they too will be affected. So that's a kind of a gross level, but it's happening the same with our thoughts. That the thoughts are coming into our mind, we're purifying them, and we're sending those thoughts back out. What I don't quite understand though is I can see how that would alter the karma of the present moment, because I become more peaceful and benevolent towards others. But how does linking to the Supreme in meditation and feeling that purity within, how does that settle the karma of something I did 4 lifetimes ago? How does it change my baggage from the past? Because surely that belongs to the past. How does that moment of consciousness affect the past action?
You see that my understanding about this is that when I become more peaceful, calm, when I become pure in my feelings, in my thoughts for everyone, then my number one is that the karmas, the actions which I do now, they are done with a real conscious understanding and choice. I go on performing positive, elevated karma, selfless karma. I have this aim in my life. In Brahma Kumaris, as you know, that we have a subject called service to the society, and service to humanity, service to nature. So this subject itself is a subject of positive, elevated karma. So when you perform this positive, elevated karma, and the percentage of this positive, elevated karma goes on increasing, it goes on increasing, and then that negative which was done in the past, that goes on as a result of that reducing, it neutralizes that. I can give this example, Philippa, that negative karma we can compare to debt, the debt which I have taken, and the positive karma I can compare to my earnings. I am earning a lot. So when I'm earning a lot, I am easily able to settle my debts. My debts, they go on finishing. So now the only thing is that I have to be very careful about my each karma from morning till night, so that at least now I do not do anything wrong. I don't do any negative karma. And when I do positive karmas, service also, as connected to our previous, one of the first questions, that there I should check what is my intention. I am serving the souls, I am serving nature. What is my intention? Am I doing it selflessly, or I have some selfish motive? That is also very important. And secondly, the connection with God, the purest being, it's a connection based on knowledge of God and love for God. And love is compared to fire. That fire which removes the alloy from the gold. The soul was like pure gold, but this alloy of negativities entered the soul, and the soul began to perform the negative karma. So this negative karma has become a burden on the soul. So when I have love for God, and for that sake of love for God, I do everything positive in my life, then this alloy from me, the soul, the gold, goes on being removed. I become lighter and lighter day by day.
Okay, I've really got that. And the way my mind is understanding that is you're receiving that positive vibration in that moment because you're connecting with the divine source. And that would be like earning an income. And you can choose in that moment to spend that money on buying something new, or you can choose to spend that money on settling some old debt. And the more you pay off the debt, the lighter you're going to feel. So it's a bit like clearing your debts consciously, rather than using the money that you are earning in this moment to buy something new.
Yeah,
So
right.
that way you're clearing the historical baggage of karma. Yeah, no, that's very clear. I'm wondering, some people listening to this may be feeling, gosh, this is all so impactful and so subtle. I barely dare go out and do anything or think anything because it's going to be having a consequence. Do we have a guide or a rule of thumb for what constitutes pure karma? I'll give you a few examples. Say like you're eating meat. I can understand how in that way you are part of the suffering of that animal that died in order for you to eat the meat. Also, if you are even handling the meat, if you're buying it and you're still somehow connected to that, clearly that carries a negative consequence. The same with cigarettes, because they're harming someone's health, or drugs or whatever. But some actions can be seen as good or bad according to the culture. So for instance, maybe going to a nightclub and dancing. How would you know if that was pure karma or not pure karma? Or doing any other cultural activity, which in one country is seen as bad, but in another country is seen as okay. What are our guiding principles for knowing if something is pure karma or not?
Very good. The spiritual wisdom, the spiritual knowledge which we receive in Brahma Kumari's spiritual university clarifies this very well, very well. There are vices, any action done under the influence of vices, body consciousness, will be a negative karma. And any action which is done under the influence, you can say, or while using my positive qualities like mercy, kindness, purity, love, the attitude of cooperation, and so on, when I use my positive qualities while doing the karma, that will be called a pure karma. And but most important is that when I am doing it in the remembrance, while considering myself to be a child of the purest being, to be a child of God, and I am keeping God with me while I am doing that action, it becomes the purest karma. I don't have any pride that I am doing something very great. I don't have any ego. I don't have any such kind of feeling that I want to show this, that I am doing something. But I am like an instrument doing this for the benefit of other souls, and also for creating positive karma for my own self. And when I do with that attitude, while using my positive qualities, my original qualities, then it will be a pure karma. Otherwise, in body consciousness, when I forget I am a soul, when I consider myself to be that limited being which I am in the physical body, I am so and so, I have such and such a status, I have such and such a job. So I am doing in that consciousness, there is a possibility of some, negative qualities emerging, then it becomes a negative karma. So I need to remind myself, it is the soul who is doing the karma. I am a soul. Originally, I am a pure soul, peaceful soul, a loving soul, kind soul. So when I remind myself, that becomes a pure karma. I don't want to give pain. One of the very basic thing which we learn in our organization is never give sorrow to anyone and never take sorrow from anyone. Neither give nor take. These are negative karma. Give happiness and get happiness. Even if somebody is giving sorrow, don't accept this sorrow. Don't take it. Don't take it. Forgive that person, but don't lose your happiness. Change this sorrow into happiness. Then you will be continuing to do pure karma.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's very clear, because each human being on this planet is a soul, and every soul has the same original qualities. You know, it's not that people in Africa have certain qualities and people in China have different qualities. You know, where the human soul has the same original qualities. Right. So by performing actions which are aligned with those original soul qualities, then that will be pure action. I mentioned there are two different countries, and there can sometimes be a situation where the family that you're born into has a particular family karma. Maybe it's a family that's linked to a certain profession. Maybe you have a parent who has done something bad in their life, and somehow that action has reverberated and you've become caught up in the consequence of that action. Or maybe you're living in a country that has particular history. I'm thinking of here in Britain, where we used to have the empire, and we went around the world and treated people really badly. And I feel the shame of the karma of my country historically, and that can feel a burden sometimes. Is that a karmic impact that I carry? Is that part of my karma, because I had the karma to be born in this country, and therefore somehow I'm linked in with that, or born into the family that I'm born into, and therefore I am somehow linked in with that karma? Is that how it works?
It's of course, that is definitely some karma. But at the same time, we know that there are children born in the family where the parents had something wrong, some wrong karma, but the child was born in that family. This child must also have done something that he was born in this family. But at the same time, because the child has some history from the past of something very positive karma, and so because of that power of that positive impact of the previous karmas, the child can bring the change in the family by his presence. There are many children, who bring transformation in their parents because of their positive energy, because of their though it was karma, so that the child was born in that family, but then it was the good karma of the parents also, that this soul has come in their home and has brought something good in that family. In the same way, if you take the example of countries, in the same countries, some kind of karma is binding them, but at the same time, there are people who, for example, like you begin to think of that why we treated so badly people in our history. So this kind of thought may not come to everybody. So you have that positive thought and you want to do something good for the whole world, which you are doing, and not thinking about just one country, because your attitude has become very, very vast and unlimited, thinking the humanity as a family. So in the same, there is some karma, but at the same time, people born in that culture or in that country or in that family can bring a transformation in that family. If I take the example of our own organization, we know that the founder of our organization, he was born in a community where all were non-vegetarians, but he was not. He was not. He was very firm, very pakka, very, firm vegetarian. And though there was objection from so many people and the kings of that time, but he was very firm. And as a result of that firmness, and at the same time, he was very soft in nature, very gentle, not harsh. So this is why, so though there was firmness, but there was that gentleness, there was this politeness, there was that humility, that love for the people. And so people had a lot of respect for his principles. And as a result of that, he could bring this transformation in so many others, in so many others. So therefore, I think this, there is a expression that the philosophy of karma is very deep. It is a karmic, not just account, but it is a karmic web which has been created as a result of karmas of all of us together during birth, after birth, after birth, and after birth.
Mm-hmm. You have such a clear mind, Sudhaben. It's so lovely asking you these, they're tricky questions, but you manage to answer them with such clarity that it becomes very, very clear. Let me just remind you, everyone tuning in today, that if you do have a question that you would like to put to Sudha Didi, please do put your question in the chat box. We started late, so I'm allowing a little extra time here. So there's definitely time for you to ask your question. Pop it in the chat box, and I'll put the question to Sudha Didi. But just coming back to this point of feeling the responsibility of karma and one person being able to change it, as you mentioned with the founder, Brahma Baba. We've recently been through this whole Black Lives Matter movement, and it triggered a real soul searching around how in my country, a lot of wealth was created on the backs of the slave trade. And people have felt the burden of that. And in the town near where I live, feelings got to such a point that the whole city came together and they pulled down a bronze statue on a big stone plinth of one of the well-known slave traders, and they threw his statue in the canal. And it became a really big news story. But it was almost like people wanting to right the wrongs of their forebears, because somehow they feel that those people acted on all our behalf. So I think, if we scale that up to the whole world, if we look at the negative karma that's been happening in the world now, the destruction of the environment, the cruelty to animals, the list just goes on and on. I think we're all collectively feeling the burden of our collective human karma, and it's making us very depressed and very sad. And yet we have within us the ability to do something to change that, to put out a different energy. And that's the beauty of yoga meditation, is that it becomes a tool that we can use to really make a difference in this world.
Right, very true, because we know that this is our collective, what we are facing, what the humanity is facing today, it is the result of the actions of all of us. But at the same time, we also see that different people living in the same situation are feeling differently. Some are feeling quite depressed, some are feeling quite angry. I know that as you are telling, one of the slave traders, his statue was taken away and so on. Certain things are happening in some other countries also. So somehow people want to take some kind of a, revenge, or they want to remove the name of that person from the history, so that, but this is not the right way, actually. So this expression of anger or expression of maybe depression this way, that by removing the statue, the history will not change. What has happened has happened. What has happened has happened. The wise person, what wise person will do, will take a lesson from this bitter history, so that I should never do this. I should never do such actions. And as much as possible, I will try to inspire people and teach people never to do such actions. So that will be the positive reaction, because reaction is also an action, right? Somebody did the negative action, but my negative reaction to that negative action is my negative action. And so what I am going to get as a result of this negative action of mine, what you give, so you get. So it is not going to change. It is not going to change that soul. So I want to tell you here, maybe you know about it because you are a journalist, Philippa, and it's a story from India when there was many years ago, when there was a gang of dacoits, a big gang of dacoits who were killing many people and looting them, and also at the same time distributing that money to the poor people.
Is this low caste? Is that what you mean, dacoits?
Dacoits, burglars.
Burglars, okay.
Burglars.
Yeah.
Burglars, yeah. And so they, it was like not less than terrorists, you can say, but in a different sense. And so they were killing the rich people or looting them and then giving this wealth to the poor people, because they had anger in them that these rich people, they are landowners and this and that and so on and so on. They have accumulated everything and poor people are dying, they are starving, and this is happening. And so they were considering themselves to be absolutely right by doing these actions, by killing others and so on. So then the government announced that to somehow catch hold of this gang and to protect the people and so on, a big prize was announced. There were two leaders of this group, and so a big prize was announced if they will be caught, and such thing will be done, and so on. So the story goes like this. It's a long story, but somehow a moment came. It was also a very touching story, that how that moment came. But anyway, that moment came when this gang surrendered, and they surrendered and they were put in an open jail. So they were not behind the bars, but they were given a lot of hard work to do, and they used to do that work, but they were open. And there came a festival. We have a festival in India called Rakshabandhan, when the sisters tie a bracelet on the wrist of their brothers. It's a festival of love between sisters and brothers. And so our center in that city, where there was this open jail, they approached the jail superintendent, and asked whether they can give a talk on this day in the jail. And so all these prisoners, so-called criminals, they were there. There was a lot of police, and these two young sisters were giving the talk on this festival. And after that, they requested the superintendent, can they tie Rakhi, this bracelet, to these prisoners? And so this was done. And can you imagine how it changed everyone? So everyone remembered their sisters back at home. And they were so much touched by this that they requested the superintendent that, is it possible that these sisters will come often and give us knowledge? And at the end, what happened, that they transformed. And one of them became a Raj Yogi.
Wow.
One of them became a Raj Yogi, and he opened a center in his village where his daughter became the teacher. So can you imagine? So if we want to change, we can change only by love, that pure love which comes from God.
I can see that that story touches you very deeply, and it's a story of how a pure action done with an open heart and in the spirit of love can undo the wrongs that have been committed. And that's a wonderful metaphor for what is happening on a global scale, that we need to use our love, our pure thinking, to somehow heal all the negative karmas that are happening in the world around us. That's such a touching and beautiful story. We've got a really excellent question that has come in, which I'd like to put to you. Still time for one last quick question if you want to post a question, but this is the question that has come in. If everything is already destiny, destiny is already predestined. It's a known outcome. And our own personal destiny is also something that is set. Therefore, how does karma work? Because you can't go against what is your destiny, because that's your destiny. How does karma affect your destiny if your destiny is already set?
Yes, everything is very true. This is what we learn, and because the soul is eternal, and whatever is recorded in the soul is eternal, we call it destiny or predestined. But at the same time, we do not know what is going to happen the next moment. I don't know what is going to happen next moment. So I have a choice. I have a choice whether to do this or to do that. This is what will make my destiny. You see, on one hand, it is predestined. On other hand, I am creating my destiny. This is the beauty of this world drama. When we do not remember even a single thing, what is going to happen next moment? And so therefore it is my choice. I decide. And if I decide positively to do a positive action, this is my destiny. You understand? It is not destiny which is guiding me to do the action. It is I who am creating my destiny. This is something very, very subtle, and so I can even, so to say, change my destiny in the sense, like, for example, somebody became sick and thinks that such is my destiny. So let me accept it. I am a sick person and I accept it. This is my destiny. But then the same person can think, so let me think about why I became sick. Maybe my food habits are not good. Maybe I don't, my lifestyle is not very positive. Maybe my thinking is very negative. What is wrong with me? Why I became sick? Let me correct it. So if my lifestyle is not good, if my food habits are not healthy food habits, if my thinking is not healthy, so let me change it. I change and I begin to become healthier day by day. So I can accept this destiny to be sick and be sick till the end of life. And I can change my destiny by analyzing why this has happened. And I want to be healthy.
I like that. So destiny is something that we can only say with hindsight that was destiny. If destiny hasn't yet happened, then yes, it is a known outcome somewhere in the ether, but I have the ability to change my actions now, which will then change my destiny according to my perception at this present moment. So only with hindsight can we say that was destiny. In the future, the destiny is not known and you can still change it. A couple of quick questions here, which I can answer myself because you've already talked about this. It's the example of giving food or clothes or money to the homeless person who then buys liquor. Are you still linked to that karma? Sudha Didi said yes. the subtlety of the law of karma means that you are in some way impacted by what that money you gave is used for, because you are the originator of that action. We've got another question here about inculcating values in children so that they know how to make right decisions and action. I mean, any parent, you know, this is a very important question, because, you know, teenagers, kids, they do all sorts of things with no thought of the consequence. But I don't think we're going to have time to go into that one today. But Sudha, Didi, you're going to have to come back another time and we'll go into that. But let's just finish with a final question here, which is requesting you just to say something a little more about seeing our thoughts as a subtle action. And maybe what I could invite you to do is take us into a meditation experience around this idea of using our thoughts as a form of subtle action. And we can just close with some reflective meditation. Thanks, Sudhaben.
Yes, thank you so much. Before she starts meditation, thank you so much for beautiful questions, Sister Philippa, and very, very mature and wise answers from Sister Sudha. So we really thank you, both of you, very much. And I was mentioning in the beginning that many people have asked these questions about Ukraine and Russia and all that. So that's why I wanted her to say that it is happening in the whole world. It's not in one area. In so many different ways, people are affected and they're suffering. And so in how we can help with our pure thoughts and subtle powers to all the souls who are suffering, as you mentioned, Sister Philippa, in the last statement, that we feel burden. You know, it's our all collective burden that we are experiencing now. And so how to lighten that burden? And so collective meditation, when we are together and meditate together, definitely there is effect, and there is definitely serving through our thoughts, and souls are healed and they experience the subtle power of meditation. And so let's go for that meditation. Sister Sudha, thank you very much again. Sister Philippa, thank you, and thank you all of you for joining this event.
Thank you, Ranjan Ben. Just to say a few words about the question which Sister Philippa Ben asked about the thoughts, I would just like to say, before we come to meditation, to work with our thoughts, I will suggest that we feed our intellect with positive quality food, purposely, consciously. We should have such material, you know, like maybe some books or some audios or some videos which have a very positive impact on our intellect. Because the source for negative thoughts are unlimited at this moment, but the source for positive thoughts we need to find. We need to make it available. There is, but because it is not easily available, and so we are more attracted towards that source what is easily available. And so we need to purposely become the friends of our own selves and find this source and collect this within us, feed our intellect every day with the positive thoughts, positive energy, positive spiritual wisdom, and so on. So as a result of that, what my experience says that, you know, when I get up early in the morning at 3 o'clock, the first thought which comes to my mind is, I am a pure soul. I don't make efforts for that. It automatically comes because I have fed my intellect with this thought for quite some time. The moment I get up, my eyes open and this thought comes, I am a pure soul. So I need to feed my intellect in such a way that my mind will create only positive thoughts. And meditation is, of course, one of the ways for that. So now let us meditate for a few minutes. I'll request all of you to sit alert and relaxed at the same time, with your eyes open, and just feel very light, try to bring your attention in the center of your forehead, where the soul, the life energy, the doer of karmas, the creator of thoughts resides. Feel yourself as a tiny point of divine light, sparkling, radiating the light of peace, the light of purity, the light of love, the light of kindness, the light of mercy. I am a soul. A pure soul. I wish to see a beautiful world around me. And therefore, I decide to create a beautiful world within me. I purposely create beautiful thoughts, healthy thoughts, pure, positive thoughts. Purest thought is, I am the loving child of the Supreme Being. And all our souls, my brothers, all of the children of that Supreme Father, my big universal family. Let the power of peace, the pure energy of peace from my Supreme Father reach every soul. I am the star of peace, radiating peace. I can feel this positive energy of peace will bring purity in the actions. These actions will certainly make the world beautiful.
Thank you so much, Sudhaban, Sister Sudha, and Sister Philippa, and Sister Rajani, and the team who are putting this program together. And everyone, of course, all of you who have joined this program. We do collective meditation every third Sunday of the month in the evening, 6:30 to 7:30 Dallas time. And so also all majority and all centers do meditation, collective meditation for world peace. So you may join for that hour, third Sunday of the month in the evening, 6:30 to 7:30. And of course, if you like to know more about the soul and mind and heart and intellect, you can learn Raj Yoga meditation and elevate your thoughts, words, actions, and attitude and vision, everything. So as Sister Philippa mentioned about our Raj Yoga teachings of Brahma Kumaris, please, you are most welcome to join with us and go on our website and learn more about our activities. And of course, we will put soon our next topic of the next month. Thank you. On our website. So thank you all.
Om Shanti. Thank you to everyone. Thank you. Om Shanti.